Yesterday, Sayadaw analyzed what we call Hariya Vatu from the Abhidhamma point of view and then the Western modern point of view as well. At the very moment of the pregnancy, there is a rebirth consciousness, first and foremost consciousness in this very life. And then there must be a base for that very initial consciousness. Because there is no mental state without any base in this physical world. So at that very moment, what physical phenomena will be or should be the base of the first and foremost consciousness, birth consciousness. At that moment, physical phenomena, what really exists at that moment, are very, very, very small, too small, to see them even through the very powerful microscope. At that moment, there is no any other sense base like the eye sense or ear sense and so on, and then neither the head organ like the brain or something else, something like that. So at that moment there must be the base, physical base for the birth consciousness. That should be nothing but the Hariya Vatu, what we call Hariya Vatu according to the literature. That is existed at the moment of the birth consciousness. That should be in the center of the chest. So we analyzed these points yesterday. What we call brain is in Pali called Matalunga. But this Matalunga is not described in the Pali Canon as a base of the mind. But to the contemplation of the 32 part of the body, or the contemplation or impurity of the physical body, this Matalunga is one of the organ to be observed, to be watched as the impurity of the physical organs. But in the Pali Canon, it is compared with the marrow. So that's why it's not especially or particularly described what's the function of the brain or what's the brain, because it can be compared with the marrow. So for better understanding, Sayadaw want to explain some more about the bases, sense bases. So when the sense objects come and strike in the sense base, then there is an examining mind state take place. Just like we are wake up for something, by something, then we examine what make me wake up. Something like this. This examining mind examine the objects. What type of object is it? It examine. This examining mind state is called Panchadvara Vajana, examining senses. the mind which examines senses. There are 5 senses, and then 5 objects come and strike in it, in them. At the moment they strike in the sense space, the examining mind state take place accordingly. When we see this examining mind examine the visible form, when we hear a sound, and then the examining mind examine the sound, what type of sound, and then knows when the smell or fragrance come and strike in our nose. This examining mind take place and examine the smell, what type of smell is it? It is. And in the same way, the taste or flavor come and strike in our tongue. Then the examining mind examine what type of taste, sweet or sour, and so on. This examining mind is not very long, it is just a moment. That's just a moment. In the same way with the body sense, the touching come and strike on the body, in the body, and the examining mind take place. These types of examining minds are called Pancharara Vajana mind, Pancharara Vajana Chaita. Examining the objects which come and strikes in senses. And then that mind is followed by the Sampadechana Chaita, Sampadechana mind, which is accepting the objects. So accepting mind. The mind which accepts the objects take place. This accepting mind can be 2 types, wholesome or unwholesome, according to the deed we have done in the past lives. These 3 types of the mental states are called manodhatu, the mental elements. This Pancharara Vajana, the examining mind, and then Sampadechana, and then Sampadechana, the accepting mind, 2 accepting minds. These 3 are called the manodhatu, the mental element. So this type of consciousness is called Panchavajnana Dhantu. This is a 5 sense consciousness. The consciousness connected with the 5 senses. So there are seeing consciousness also 2 types, wholesome and unwholesome. So this seeing also, the aware or the seeing consciousness is connected with the wholesomeness and unwholesomeness. Because these seeing consciousness are resultant consciousness. So it's resulted from the past karma, past deeds we have done in the past lives. So this resultant consciousness, it can be of 2 kinds according to the objects, good or bad. So the moment we see good or beautiful objects, that seeing consciousness is regarded as a good or wholesome resultant consciousness. When we see something ugly or we don't like, and that seeing consciousness is believed to be a wholesome resultant consciousness. So in this way, seeing consciousness is of 2 kinds, wholesome resultant and wholesome resultant consciousness. So aware of the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and they are also in the same way that the 2 types of consciousness, wholesome resultant and unwholesome resultant. They have their own respective sense base to depend on. In this case, dependent means not not taking the dependent doesn't mean they all the time united, also all the time together. The dependent mean here like a teacher and a pupil, teacher and a student. The students are not necessary to be carried on teacher's back. The student and the teacher can stay separately, but they depend on each other, or especially the student depend on the teacher. And similarly with the parent and the children, so parents are not necessary to carry children on their back all the time, but under their care, the children become thrive and prosperous. So the parents is a base for the children. So children have to depend on the parents in that way. So in the same way, this object and the sense object and sense organ, they connected as a base, but not they come together. They are separate phenomena, but the sense organ is a help as a base. So the seeing consciousness cannot take place without eye base, eye sense. Similarly with the hearing, smelling, tasting. Hearing, for example, hearing consciousness cannot do without eardrum. Similarly, the rest of senses. So these 5 pair or the consciousness are called Pancha Vajnana, 5 pair or the consciousness. So these 5 pairs or the sense consciousness, individually 10 consciousness, 10 types of consciousness, and just as mentioned, the 3 types of the Mano Dhatu, mind element consciousness, altogether 13. This 13 consciousness is out of 89 types of the consciousness, the minus the 30, so there's 89, so minus 30, and then 76 consciousness left. So these 76 kinds of consciousnesses are called in Pali Mano Vijnana Dhatu. This is no right time to count 76 types of the consciousness, as we call the Mano Vijnana Dhatu. It will be not the Abhidhamma class. So Mano Vijnana is a definition of Mano Vijnana means Mano is an Vijnana. 2 words are combined here. Mano is also means knowing. Vijnana also so is extra knowing. So these 2 words are same meaning. So same meaning was repeated 2 times. So that means, according to the Pali grammar, extremely perceiving or extremely knowing. So Mano Vijnana means extremely the mind which extremely perceiving the object. So these 76 kinds of the consciousnesses and 3 just as mentioned 3 types of the mind element, altogether 79 kinds of the consciousnesses are based on the what we call the Hridaya heart, and in the blood which exists in the middle, in the center of the heart. So on that base, this 79 kinds of the consciousness take place. So not only mind or consciousness alone, but also the constituent mental element also go together along with the consciousness mind. They are also based on the blood circulation inside the heart. Point to ponder regarding this base of the thinking mind. Today, nowadays, the heart can be transplanted, successfully transplanted. So the modern medicine, modern medical science can help us to transplant our heart. Then when we transplant one's heart, then at the moment of the transplantation of the heart, where those 79 types of the consciousness are based. When the patients in the operation theater, there won't be full consciousness in his or her heart at that moment under the operation. So that at that moment the consciousness must be the not full consciousness. It's what we call bhavenga, can be translated subconsciousness. Subconsciousness take place from moment to moment. It can be compared with the sleeping mental state. So that sleeping mental, that subconsciousness is based on what? So on where it is based. The moment there's no full consciousness. So let's think about the worldly example. An example. So, for example, on the main road, there's a bridge is not safe, maybe broke down. So then we have to make the temporary road or bridge beside, so that the traffic can safely cross the river and the bridge. So this example can be applied in this case. There is a late Venerable Mahasi Sayadawgyi, the decision that he make a decision that at the moment of the transplantation of the heart, that maybe this mental state is based on the new heart. So when the new heart is connected with our blood circulation, and then on the new heart, the consciousness will be based. Opinion is the mind, or the thinking mind or thinking consciousness can be based on the blood inside the heart, the very heart, or it can be based on the blood which is pumped out of the heart. This is another view.
So the yogi Boguria Telak Sapi Sansa Nalin de Muramalova. A Yeji Ragaro Sekusa Jazira Kamyofa a Taita, a Kanda, a Punta. Talak Tamina Nale, you lover. Daita Sudaba, a Kanda Sudaba, Punta Sudaba. Head a little Tamanale Lucy. I look anyway.
So as a yogi, we don't need to understand that much. So what importance is to be aware of the thinking mind. What is the striking object? What is the base sense or base organ, and what is the responsive element or consciousness? So as a yogi, we need to understand that much. The mental objects which strike on the base, the heart base, is what we are able to think about, what we think of. Is different from seeing, hearing, and so on. So it's not directly seeing, or not direct seeing or hearing. It's just thinking of seeing or hearing. So we can see, we hear, we see, we hear, we smell. It can be the past memory. So whatever it is, they connected with the past or present or future. What we are able to take in the mind is called the mind objects, which come and strike on the heart base. Sometimes it can be connected with the past memory, maybe last day or last minute or last hour, last week, last year, last month, last year. Sometimes maybe this object can be connected with the future plan. Maybe we fancy, we hear, smell, or taste, and so on. So these objects which can be thought in our mind, in our heart, is called the object strike on the heart base. So there are mental objects which can be a striker element. And it can be included the mental contact or the sensation or the perception, or sometimes the anger and attachment, anger, hatred, aversion, or the faith or mindfulness, and the knowledge, and so on. It can be connected with the past or present or the future. And there are also physical or material objects which come and strike on the heart base. So these objects, whatever object it may be, we can think of. These are all called mental objects. They come and strike on the heart base. And then another mental object are the concept. There's no particular form or shape. There's a conceptual objects. Can be sometimes color or figure or any types of the conceptual object. They also can be counted as a mental object. So whatever object it may be, which we can think of, they are called mental objects.
Khandas.
So the base element is will be this element is subconsciousness, which is mostly obvious during sound sleep. But in the daytime, also this subconsciousness takes place in between the seeing, hearing, and so on. So this subconsciousness, and then the examining mind, these are called the manodvara, the entrance into the mind, the entrance of the mind. So the objects, mind, mental objects, come into this through this entrance, subconsciousness and examining mind. So this mental state, which is called the entrance or door of consciousness, are not based on the eye or ear or nose and so on. But their base is what we call Hridaya, is heart. And then that's why the Hridaya Vatu, we call Hridaya, is can be translated heart. It also should be included in the mind door, or the entrance or the consciousness. So altogether, the examining mind, subconsciousness, and what we call Hridaya or heart, these three phenomena are called the base of the mental elements, based on mind consciousness. So this mental objects sometimes can be fearful, sometimes delightful, sometimes surprising or amazing. So for example, when the mental object is fearful, horrible, then come and strike on the base or the heart base, then the heart vibration, the heartbeat is very fast, because the object is very strong and terrible and strike very strongly, powerfully. So the heart and the mind, both of them at the same time, vibrate. So we can experience, when we face with the fearful objects, our heart, we can experience our heartbeat fast. Then as a responsive element, when we think about when we are fancying, we see or we hear something or someone, and then this thinking mental state take place. This is the responsive element. So far, Sayadaw explained what is the striker element, what is the base sense, and what is the responsive element connected with the mental objects, according to the literature. So Sayadaw will continue these explanations tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.